Alright, folks, let's dive into tonight's heavyweight clash, Boston Celtics vs Orlando Magic. Boston, the juggernaut. Orlando, the underdog. But we're not here to cheer for fairy tales. We're here to make sense of the madness. The Celtics stumbled against Chicago in their last game. And when I say stumbled, I mean they couldn't hit the ocean from a boat. 14 of 56 from downtown. Yikes. But let's not get it twisted, Jason Tatum. That man's a machine. 31 points, 10 rebounds, and not a single second of doubt. Orlando, though, they've got a story too. The second best defense in the league, and they don't let anyone waltz into the paint. But 20 turnovers against OKC. Come on, that's a ticking time bomb against a team like Boston. And tonight's AI pick is the Boston Celtics -9. Here's the deal. Boston's got firepower, experience, and a serious chip on their shoulder after that loss to Chicago. Tatum will bring his usual brilliance, but watch out for Jaylen Brown. He's overdue for a breakout game. This feels like the night he puts up big numbers. Orlando will battle, sure. They'll scrap, claw, and throw everything they've got into the fight. But turnovers, they're going to bleed possessions, and Boston doesn't let those slip by. By the fourth quarter, the Celtics will be in full command. Let's call it what it is. Boston's not just winning this game, they're covering that -9 with room to spare. This isn't a game, this is a statement, and Boston's making it. On to Game 2. The Brooklyn Nets and Miami Heat. Two teams with something to prove, meeting under the bright lights of the Kaseya Center. Brooklyn, fresh off a scrappy win against Toronto, where Cameron Johnson absolutely lit it up, 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. The man was unstoppable, but let's be real, Brooklyn's offense is shaky, ranking just 23rd in the league. You don't win games shooting 40% unless your opponent is as cold as the North Pole. Now, the Miami Heat. They're coming off a 1-point heartbreaker against Detroit. Jimmy Butler, he poured his soul into that game, 35 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 assists. That's the kind of stat line you frame and hang on your wall. But even with all that, Miami couldn't close the deal. Why? Their perimeter defense gave up 20 triples. You can't win when you're giving shooters that kind of freedom. So, what happens tonight? Miami's defense is stingy, ranked 6th in points allowed. They'll force Brooklyn to work for every shot, especially with their ability to create turnovers. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler will be a problem. Brooklyn has no answer for a player of his caliber. And tonight's AI pick is the Miami Heat. Here's why. Miami is a team that rebounds from adversity. Literally and figuratively, they'll clamp down on defense, limit Brooklyn's second chances, and let Butler lead the charge offensively. Brooklyn, they'll keep it interesting early, but when the Heat turn up the pressure, it's game over. Take Miami. It's the smart play. On to Game 3.
Toronto Raptors vs New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. The world's most famous arena plays host to two teams moving in opposite directions. Let's break it down. Toronto's season, let's call it what it is, rough. A 7-21 record and coming off a 7-point loss to Brooklyn where they shot under 40% from the field. They're struggling to find an identity, but they've got flashes of hope. Ochai Agbaji dropped 20 points last game on an efficient 8 of 16 shooting. Still, one player's spark doesn't fix a team that's 23rd in points allowed and coughing up over 16 turnovers a game. Now the Knicks. This squad is clicking. Fresh off a dominant 133-107 win over the Timberwolves where they shot a blistering 51.5% from the field. Karl Anthony Towns looked unstoppable. 32 points, 20 rebounds, 6 assists. The Knicks rank second in the league in field goal percentage and 9th in assists. They're smooth, efficient and deadly when they get rolling. So, what's the play? Toronto's getting a massive spread here at plus 14.5. But do they have what it takes to keep this close? And tonight's AI pick is the Toronto Raptors plus 14.5. Here's why. The Knicks are the better team, no doubt. But 14.5 is a big number, even against a struggling Raptors squad. Toronto may not win this game, but they have enough fight to keep it respectable. Ochai Agbaji's emergence could give them the scoring boost they need, and the Knicks might take their foot off the gas late if they pull out to a big lead. Don't get me wrong, the Knicks will likely control this game. But Toronto plus the points, that's where the value is tonight. Take the Raptors to cover. On to Game 4.
Milwaukee Bucks versus Chicago Bulls at the United Center. Two teams with firepower, pride, and a lot to prove. Let's dig in. The Bucks come into this matchup riding high off a win against Atlanta, where Giannis Antetokounmpo played like a man, possessed 32 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists. The Greek Freak is unstoppable when he gets going, and Milwaukee's sharpshooters backed him up with 38.9% shooting from deep this season, ranking among the best in the league. But let's not ignore the cracks. They're 29th in assists, which means ball movement isn't their strength, and against a scrappy team like Chicago, that could spell trouble. The Bulls, meanwhile, are fresh off a gutsy win over Boston. Zach LaVine torched the Celtics for 36 points, and the Bulls' defense held Boston to just under 40% shooting from the floor. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Chicago's defense ranks 29th in points allowed. They give up 121.4 points per game. Ouch. That's the kind of stat that keeps coaches awake at night. So, what's the call tonight? Milwaukee's got the edge on paper, but Chicago's grit makes them dangerous as home underdogs. And tonight's AI pick is the Chicago Bulls plus 1.5. Here's the play. Chicago thrives when the odds are against them, and that win against Boston shows they can rise to the occasion. LaVine is locked in, and the Bulls' offense is one of the most unselfish in the league, ranking 4th in assists. Yes, their defense is shaky, but Milwaukee's struggles with turnovers and free throws give Chicago a real shot to cover and maybe even win outright. Giannis will do his thing. That's a given. But tonight, it's Chicago's grit, speed, and home court energy that will make the difference. Take the Bulls plus 1.5 onto Game 5.
Oh, the Jazz and the Cavaliers. What a delightful mismatch we have here. The mighty Cleveland Cavaliers, soaring high at 23-4, hosting the poor, pitiful Utah Jazz, struggling at 6-20. This, my friends, is no contest. It's a feeding frenzy. The Jazz come into this game riding the rarest of things, a win. They managed to squeak past the Pistons, with Colin Sexton dropping 30 points and looking like a man possessed. But let's not be fooled. This team's defense? It's leakier than a sinking ship. They're giving up 120.3 points per game, ranking near the bottom of the barrel. Against Cleveland? That's a recipe for disaster. Now, the Cavaliers. What can I say? They're a juggernaut, crushing opponents like grapes in a winepress. Cleveland obliterated Brooklyn in their last game, and they didn't even break a sweat. Evan Mobley was clinical, shooting 77.8% and racking up 21 points in just 23 minutes. And let's not forget Donovan Mitchell, who's undoubtedly licking his chops at the thought of tearing apart his former team. The spread tonight? Cleveland is laying 14.5. Normally I'd balk at a number that big, but for this Cavs team, it's just another day at the office. And tonight's AI pick is the Cleveland Cavaliers minus 14.5. Here's the deal. Cleveland is too strong, too efficient, and too relentless. They lead the league in field goal percentage, they're 10th in defense, and they have the firepower to turn this game into a bloodbath. Utah doesn't have the defense, the discipline, or the depth to hang with them. Expect Cleveland to run away with this one. And I do mean run away. Oh, and let's not forget Donovan Mitchell's little vendetta. He'll put on a show against the Jazz, leaving no doubt about which team got the better end of that trade. Take Cleveland minus 14.5. This is a statement game, a blowout in the making, and the Jazz are just cannon fodder. That's all for now.
Alright, let's recap tonight's picks, shall we? Game 1, Nodis took the Boston Celtics minus 9, a powerhouse offense ready to dominate. Game 2, we rolled with the Miami Heat to cover, trusting in Jimmy Butler's leadership. Game 3, it was the Toronto Raptors plus 14.5, a big spread, but the value is there. Game 4, Chicago Bulls plus 1.5, Zach LaVine and company stepping up at home. And Game 5, the Cleveland Cavaliers minus 14.5, an unstoppable force against a defenseless Jazz squad. That's 5 games, 5 picks. Now go make it count. Until next time, my friends.